Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Gentle Flow class today. I decided we'd try to go outside and see how that works. As you can see, it's a gorgeous day here in Westport, so thought why not get outside, get some of the sun. So today's class, if you read the post, is going to be about a bit more Qigong. We're going to kind of expand that a bit. And something I wanted to go over first about Qigong is that it really is a movement that kind of comes from your feet and your core and your pelvis, as well as your rib cage as well. It's very much an internal movement out, as well as a pulling from the ground up, and it kind of works with both of those systems. So kind of a way to explain this would be, how do I say this? Well, okay, yeah. If I were to pick this up, okay? If you notice, here's my, my little red cushion. So if I hold this like this and I move it up and down, like that, I'm using my arms to do this wholly, okay? Now, if I held it into position and then I move my legs up and down, it moves. I know this seems very rudimentary, but it's a very big difference. So this action is coming from my legs and it's coming from my squatting and pulling up versus just this. So when we do the Qigong movements, where we're kind of twisting and going back and forth, this movement is really more about my pelvis moving and my hips moving in different directions. And to kind of break it down, what ends up happening is my pelvis begins to turn one direction, and then the rib cage and the arms are just like milliseconds behind that turn. So if you look closely, it's my pelvis and my legs that are going first. Then the hands flow, and there's just a little bit of, I guess, muscle movement in the arms, but it's very minimal. Okay? So before we get into that, let's first just work on the breath and do a couple stretches. So go ahead and sit down cross-legged. Get the knees nice and comfortable where you want them. Okay. Oh, the sun feels great. So let's just start with beginning a bit of breath technique. So hands on the knees. And just start breathing through the nose. And as always, we just start where we are. Notice it. Notice if the breath is more in the belly, it's more in the chest. Notice if you feel the rib cage is slouched or you're kind of just tired, or maybe you're overly anxious and very proud at the moment with the shoulders back. And then once you notice where you are, you start to invite little movements that could help create more of a open yet relaxed, a still yet fluid sense. And you want your spine to be not like, I would like to explain that it's kind of like you're leaning against a wall. But what often happens with that idea is that we kind of bring the rib cage and we kind of force the shoulders back. So you don't want that. You kind of want the sense that the inside of your spine is leaning against a wall. So not your back, but like the inside of your body. Okay, very good. So from here, let's go do a couple dragon breaths. Just cover one nostril with one thumb. Inhale on the opposite side. Hold the breath, switch the nostril, and exhale out the other nostril. Just do a couple of those. Switching left to right. Even out both sides. Good. All right, so from here, try to keep the mouth closed, breathe through the nose. And you want to come into a bit of deliberate breathing or mindful breathing, but it's a gentle version of it. So it's not this very, kind of forced inhale, which you'd often see in a power yoga class. This type of breath is just actively inhaling a bit more than you normally would. And you're actively pushing out a bit more than you normally would. So it's just a little bit more and a little bit more. So do a few rounds of those to get what that looks like and what that feels like. Okay, and let's come into a little side stretching. So just bring the left hand down to the side. Inhale, reach the right palm up. And exhale, lean over. And we're going to do that same movement about 3 more times. Just inhale straight up. And exhale, lean over. Inhale up. Level the rib cage towards the front. Exhale over. Inhale, level the rib cage towards the front. And exhale over. Last one, inhale up, level the rib cage, and stay here. So what I mean by level the rib cage is when we lean over, if you notice, my rib cage tilts, and this becomes a side flexion on my left side and a side stretch on my right. And when we come back up, oftentimes we still hold the left side flexion and the stretch on the up. But when we come out, we're really trying to give a bit of relief. Okay, so a level rib cage towards the front, my arm is up, but my rib cage, I'm not feeling any flexing on the left or right side. Okay, so just bring the right hand down if it's still up. And let's first level off the rib cage with the left side. So inhale the left arm up and stay here. So what this means is that my left hand came right up, my rib cage stayed right where it was. Okay, you can even try that a few times. You don't want to have this experience of like I'm locking my rib cage into place and I'm flexing both sides of the body, but rather I'm only utilizing the shoulder as movement. Just the shoulders coming up. The rest of the body's comfortable and just relaxed. So now when you're here, then you can inhale, reach, and exhale, reach over. But this time when you inhale, try leveling off the rib cage and then exhale, stretching it. So we don't do this every time, leveling off the rib cage. It's really just an exercise in making sure you know what it feels like to actually level and not be side flexing. Good. Try one more lean over. And then back up and bring the palm down. So the reason we do that is that oftentimes one shoulder might be sunken, and it could be something from just the shoulder coming down, but oftentimes it could be a side flexion where we're kind of tilting the rib cage all the time in one direction. This leans more weight into that direction, and that can cause kind of some chronic pain or some chronic flexibility issues, especially with how we walk. Okay, so we'll carry on a little bit of that. Just go ahead and bring both feet to the mat in front of you or to the floor. Okay, and here I just want you to take your hands and interlace them underneath your thighs here, and just breathe into your back body. In specific, I want you to try to send your breath down to your lower back. I mean, if you can imagine one of those really long oval balloons, and when you inhale, they get really long and full. Imagine that happening across the back body. Good. And then slowly come back out. Cross the legs again. Okay. Good. And so this time we're going to come into our rib cage movement with a bit of the twist here. Okay. So just bring the arms out left to right. Now let's do this really mindfully. I want you to inhale right where you are. On the exhale, the entire exhale, you slowly twist to the left. Let your head go with you. Inhale to the center. Exhale to the left. Inhale to the center. Exhale to the left. Last one, inhale to the center. Exhale, bring your hands down to your knees. One breath here. Exhale. Can you sense the stretching on the left side of the body? Bring the arms out. Big inhale here. And go to the right. Inhale forward. Go to the right. Inhale forward. Go to the right. Inhale forward. Last one, go to the right. Inhale forward and bring the hands down to the knees on the exhale. Stay here. Okay, so we're going to continue this bit of rib cage, mid-chest, upper chest integration here. So what I want you to do is keep your hands on your knees, and you're just going to turn your ribs to the left and to the right. Just go as far as you feel comfortable without forcing, and then go the opposite direction. Think about the movement we just did. It's the same idea. And I want you to relax your shoulders, and hopefully you begin to sense that as you turn left to right, there's a bit of movement in your pelvis probably. You're probably feeling your knees maybe going forward and backwards. And you also might sense the shoulders are coming forward and backwards. If they're relaxed, that's a normal thing. So especially if you turn to the left, pause there, you'll notice that the right shoulder kind of rolls a bit forward and the left shoulder rolls a bit back, all on its own. And then switch to the other direction and notice that same thing. Okay, so then go back to left and right. Good, and notice that even your head is turning a bit. So what this was showing is that this integration along the spine, this movement, we're thinking about our rib cage just moving, but other parts of the body start to just kind of naturally go along with it. Okay, so go ahead and relax there. Take a few breaths, and then we're going to start our Qigong. Good. Okay, so go ahead and move the pillow or whatever you're on to the side. And take your time standing up. Okay. So before we begin too much of the Qigong movement, I want your hands to come to your hips a bit. Okay. And just move your hips to the left and to the right. So hopefully you're feeling a bit of side flexion, a bit of pelvis, a bit of hip hike. So when you go to the right, you should feel your right hand kind of goes up further, and the left hip goes up further. You can even try to exaggerate it a bit if you want to really get that experience. Okay. Now there's something else. As you do this, I want you to notice what's happening to your head. So at the same side of whatever hip is hiking up, you might feel the head wants to tilt that way just a little bit. Let that happen. So if I were to follow it, my head would naturally decide to tilt. Okay. Good. And relax. So now we're going to come into standing staff so we understand what our feet are doing in Qigong. So we'll do an easy one. Hands stay on the hips. Now, without bringing up either foot, I want you to transfer all the weight of your body into your left foot. Hopefully what that looks like is that left hip just kind of comes up a little bit. The right knee bends a little bit. and then I can pick up my right knee very comfortably. So just give that a shot. As you stay in standing staff, I want you to feel your left foot, how flat it is, how strong it is, the left leg, the left hip, all of it feeling very strong and engaging with the ground. Slowly bring down your right foot. Even out the weight in the feet so the hips should hopefully become more level. It's okay if they don't. And then put all the weight into your right foot, and hopefully you'll feel the right hip hike up, the left knee bends, the right leg comes quite straight, and the whole from the right side, right hip down to the right foot is very engaged with the ground. And it should be, before the left foot comes up, you want to feel the whole right foot is fully rooted down and strong. And then from there, just pick up the left knee. Stay there. Sense what's happening in the right leg, the right glute, the right thigh, the right calf, and the right foot. So from the right foot, you should feel the heel and the ball of the foot really grappling with the ground, or grappling to the ground, I think. You should feel that right hip coming up a bit. And then bring the left knee down. So from here, we're going to try that same thing, just going left to right. So left foot, right heel, right knee up, right foot down, transfer the weight, pick up the other one. So we're going to do this going back and forth. But what I want you to focus on is going so slow that you feel the weight shifting into each foot. You feel the hip hiking onto each side before you pick up the other knee. So oftentimes, if I teach this, I see people kind of jumping to the other side, and then their knee comes up and they lose all their balance very quickly. And that's a sign that they did not go slow enough and that their foot was not rooted down first. So remember, we're moving into Qigong. And Qigong is very much the feet are rooted into the ground, very stable. And we're transferring weight. Just a couple more times. And also remember that weight is about gravity's influence on mass. And that's the pressure that we feel coming down. Okay, good. So from here, we'll come into the first set of Qigong. Feet are hip width distance apart, maybe slightly further. Okay. Bend the knees. Feel the pelvis tuck in just a little bit, so engage the core. Palms are like they're holding something, and equal weight in both feet. So do you feel one foot flatter than the other? Oftentimes for me, it's my left. I need to shift more and engage my right side more to get that equal weight. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, push down, let it go. Bend the knees. It's very simple. Inhale, lift. And exhale, down. Inhale, lift. And exhale, down. Keep that same movement. Imagine that this is being felt from the feet, through the hips, up to the sternum and head. And on the exhale, you feel it just moving, shifting down to the ground. The palms are moving up and down, but can you feel this coming from your feet to your palms? Just a couple more like that. Okay. Good. So from here, we're going to move into holding the ball. Okay, so the feet come further far apart, heels in, toes nice and out. Before we actually do that, go ahead and just switch, move the weight from the left to the right. Now I want you to take careful consideration here. Go ahead and bring your hands to your hips so you can make sure that that pelvis is doing some work here. So what's happening here is the weight's going from my left to my right, to my right to my left. Okay. Are you feeling the ball of the foot as well? So behind the toes. That needs to be felt, especially when the weight transfers. Okay. As we continue this movement just left to right, make sure your low back is very comfortable, and that means it's not arched. Pelvis is tucked in to create that long spine. Let's give a couple more tries. The last thing I want you to consider here is the real Qigong movement, which is where from one side I'm pushing into the ground. So my left foot is very engaged. My knee is very engaged. I can still see my toes. And I push into the ground. And that action causes this force to lift up into my hips. And then I shift it down to the right. Okay, now all the weight's here and I push, lift, over. So it's kind of like you're grabbing something, putting it down, lifting it up, putting it down. This kind of action. You can use your hands here if you want to get more of that experience of lifting up, pushing down. You can lift up, push down. 2 more. Now lift up to the center and pause right there. Okay, so this is where your feet should be in Qigong. A nice equal weight, being with both feet. And then with grabbing the ball, where we hold here, first, just try right palm on top, left palm on bottom. Relax the spine, relax the back. Now, this often looks very different in a lot of classes. Sometimes our elbows get really high, our shoulders want to roll forward or do all this stuff. That's okay for now. What I want you to do is just to bring your arms away and then back in. And I just want you to try that wherever they go, let them go. But close your eyes. And as you do this movement, just bring your palms out and in. It doesn't matter exactly what it looks like. Eventually, I want you to stop when the palms come in, when you feel just this little move, this little I think ball of energy or line of energy between the palms. And eventually you get to the point where you'll go, oh, right here. And for me, it's right here. If I bring my palms slightly closer, I feel like I'm squishing it. If I bring my palms further away, I feel like I'm letting it go. Right about there. Okay? And that's where your ball is. And from here, all you can do, or all you have to do, is just switch the palms. Imagine that you're just kind of caressing this little ball of energy. Just gaining control of it. Come back to the right palm on top, and we'll begin our real Qigong movement here, which is where you inhale, you release the ball, pelvis comes slightly forward, you open up the palms, look up a bit. This is kind of like 5-pointed star in yoga. And then as you exhale, you come down, hold the ball. Inhale, release it open. And exhale, come down. Inhale, release it open. Exhale, down. Just kind of bringing a lot of what we learned together. The feet are equal weight at all times. Both balls of the feet are pushing into the ground as you lift up. So you can even take a different approach to this if energy or chi is not your thing. In martial arts, that little area between your palms is kind of like your sphere of influence. So in front of your core, in front of your sternum, you can control that space because it's your space. And in Tai Chi, the whole martial art narrows down to just simply people coming into your space of influence. It's not an aggressive martial art. It's not an attacking martial art. It's simply about controlling the area just around your own body and using your own weight and whoever comes into your space's weight against them. Okay. Do one more. And stay there. Good. And shake it out a bit. So I know for some of us out there, we might be feeling a little bit on the back. That can often happen if we're in the Qigong and we're kind of arching the low back a lot. That's okay. We're going to try to do a nice little spinal roll to really help with that. So in a spinal roll, feet are nice and comfortably hip-width distance apart. First, just kind of stand there. Comfortably tall spine. And then from here, I want you to just visualize the spine, this nice long stacking bone structure with all these nerves going through it, all these muscles connected to it, all this tissue. Locate its very top, right where it meets the skull. And all we're going to do is roll down one vertebrae at a time to a forward fold position. And I want you to go very slowly. So first the chin comes in. I'm trying to move each vertebrae one at a time, and I'm keeping the rest of the spine comfortably still. Rib cage starts to come forward. Engage my core a bit, and if you feel any tightness, or as if you can't really focus on what part of the spine is bending, then you can wiggle your shoulders a bit. You can also bend your knees and send your hips back a little bit if that feels a bit easier. But take a few breaths to come all the way to a forward fold. And when you get to your forward fold, take either hand to either elbow and let everything melt forward. Maybe you shake your head a little bit. Wiggle the elbows left to right. Now, let go of either elbow and keep both feet nice and engaged to the ground from the heels to the ball of the feet. Keep a decent bend to the knees. We're going to come back up the same way we came down. So I want you to feel like you're stacking one vertebrae at a time in your spine. Okay? So kind of like the spine is becoming super straight, but more the sense of lifting up with each movement. Okay? So as that happens, slowly power up through the feet, push into the feet. And first, just try to let this unbending come in your low back. Keep the arms nice and heavy. Pelvis stacked on top of knees before anything. Engage your core. Keep this lifting, pulling up sensation. Getting taller and taller and taller. And then bring the palms forward. And now we're in a nice mountain pose. Pull up the kneecaps. Good. Inhale, reach the palms up to tall mountain. Stay for a few breaths. Inhale, reach up. Exhale the hands to prayer. And now inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, bow forward, hinging at the pelvis. Inhale to a halfway lift. So your spine comes up parallel with the floor and stay here. How well can you get into a halfway lift? So in the halfway lift, we want a parallel spine and you want your shoulders to be slightly back. And you don't want your head looking up. And I know you'll need to do that possibly to look at the video, but try to have the sensation coming from the spine. If you tilt your head up, you'll notice that your back of your neck feels very strained. And if your chin comes to your chest, you feel a curve back there. Try to get a flat spine. Stay for 2 more breaths. Good. And then from here, we're going to come into a tabletop position. Both knees right underneath the hips. If you need to put a blanket under your knees, do so. Both palms directly underneath the shoulders, and we'll come into a bit of cat-cow. If you're not familiar with cat-cow, just on the inhale, the belly drops, shoulder blades come back, and you look up. Stay there. And so in cow position, the back is really getting a flex here, all the way, both sides of the spine. All the way up to the shoulders, trying to touch each other, even up to the back of the neck, looking up. Your abs and the front side of your body should be super relaxed, getting a nice stretch. Inhale. Exhale, curl all the way in, the opposite movement, chin to chest. Stay here. So in this movement, the pelvis is curling in, chin is coming to the chest, shoulders are kind of coming forward. So you should feel your abs, your pec, all of it getting really tight, and your back should feel very loose, long, and stretched. Now let's connect those, 1 breath, 1 movement. Inhale, belly drop, shoulders back, look up. Exhale, curl in, chin to chest. Inhale, belly drops, look up. Exhale, curl in, chin to chest. Inhale, belly drops, look up. Exhale, curl in, chin to chest. 2 more. Good. And from here, we're going to come into a little bit of a dragonfly twist. So just bring your right foot forward onto the mat. Okay. Heel toe the right foot a little bit further so the knee is not directly on top of the heel. Pivot on the right heel, right toes come out. Keep your left palm down. Bring your hips further forward. So now you should feel a nice stretch along the left thigh. And then from here, all you do is inhale, reach the right palm up, stay here. So we're going to try a little exercise here just to understand our engagement with the ground and our engagement with gravity. Right now, chances are a lot of your weight is being transferred into your left leg and your left knee. I want you to push just a little bit into the ground with your right foot, especially behind the right toes, and let your right knee come further out at that same movement. And push a bit more into your left palm. So instead of just holding yourself up with the left palm, you're pushing it into the floor. And you'll feel this like lightness, this lifting, this rising sensation. Good. 1 more inhale, reach. Exhale the right palm down. From here, just roll back onto your left knee. Bring your right leg straight in front of you. Pick up the right heel and fold over the right side or the right leg. Just a couple breaths there. And then we'll slowly switch to the opposite side. So bring the right knee back, bring the left foot forward. Okay. Walk the heel a bit further forward. Pivot on the heel towards the left. Keep the right palm nice and down. Send the hips further forward. And reach the left palm up. It's very normal for the sides to look very different, to feel very different. So as far as the exercise we did before, where we press into the left foot, give it a shot here. Just the left toes or the left ball of the foot presses in, the left knee goes out a little bit further. Send the hips further forward. Keep twisting open. Pressing to the right palm, lifting up. Good. One more inhale. Exhale that left palm back down. Very good. Come back onto the right knee, straighten the left leg. Bring the left toes up and then fold over the left leg. Good. And then from here, we're going to slowly come back up to standing. Take your time. Okay. So today's focus is a bit more on Qigong, kind of more heavily on Qigong. We're going to do 2 more movements. And one of them you've done before if you've gone to these classes. And that's kind of I forget the actual name for it, but it's like patting the horse or something like that. But then we're going to do one which is called energy pulling. That one can be a bit, give a lot of experience in the back, especially the low back if their pelvis is not positioned correctly. And if we're moving too quickly, rather than having this come from the feet and the pelvis first. So for the first patting, heels in, toes out, knees comfortably bent. And you're not going as far as you can. You can get out to a full squat if you want. But oftentimes when we do a full squat, we compromise the spine. So in this squat here, my pelvis can come forward a bit. But if you look from the side, my spine is now at an angle. And this is due to some tight hips. In order for me to keep a tall spine, I really can only go out about this far, and that's comfortable. So choose something that can keep your pelvis in, abs engaged, tall spine, knees are out, facing the same direction as the toes. Okay? Cows are going off behind me. All right, so we'll come to our ball and we'll just start there. But just begin moving and see what I'm doing if you haven't done this before. First, just kind of get the movement down and see what's happening. And then I'll begin to coach you through what you're hopefully experiencing or what you want to kind of move towards experiencing from the placement of the hands, the palms, the feet. So we'll start with the feet. Hopefully, from left to right, you're feeling the weight transfer. Okay? You're hopefully, as you shift from left to right, you're also pushing from the ball of the feet and the heel, but a bit more in the ball, pushing left to right. So you're pushing left, pushing right. Okay? Hopefully you even feel your knees are kind of moving left to right. They're kind of almost moving in a circle. Hopefully your knees are not going past your toes either. Okay, this movement's actually great for knees. However, if you're pushing yourself too far, it's terrible for knees. So please look at your knees and make sure they're not going beyond the toe line, and they're not hurting at all. Any type of pain here needs to be avoided. And it's usually avoided if you just go back a little bit. You just don't go as far. Okay, so from there, hopefully, can you sense your pelvis turning as well? So as you push, that movement goes into your pelvis, and the pelvis just naturally kind of goes a different direction. There is a bit of a directed movement in your pelvis. You are tilting the pelvis to the left and to the right. Hopefully your low back feels good. If it doesn't, you need to engage your abs a bit more and push more of a long spine. From there, try to have your rib cage almost like it's an extension of your pelvis, but it's a few seconds or like a half a second behind. So when your pelvis begins to turn towards the other direction, your rib cage goes with it, but not at the same time, it's delayed. And then from there, imagine your arms are like they're in water. And if you really want to know what's happening with your palm movement, when one palm comes up, you should be able to see the palm. When one palm goes down, you should be able to see the top of the palm. And it's almost like you're pushing someone away from you. But that push is not coming from your arms. Do a few more. If you're experiencing any pain anywhere, you need to make an adjustment. What's really nice about this is that you're learning how to move with gravity. You're learning how to keep a very strong sense of grounding into the floor or to the ground. And you're allowing your body to be very fluid, but also directed. Tai Chi comes out of the concept of being like water that was written about by Lao Tzu. This minimal effort, this yielding effort. But when it comes time to make change, the softness and the yielding is what allows that to happen. So if you look at any Tai Chi demonstration, or if you look at any moment where someone had to utilize Tai Chi for self-defense, it's very passive. So imagine if you were a strong wind came, or someone came and pushed your chest, you would just flow with it and allow it to slide off your body. But your feet are so grounded, and you can just redirect. Good. Go and slowly stop that movement. Come back to standing, feet together. Inhale, reach up. Exhale the hands to prayer. 3 more like that. Good. Shake out the legs. Both the knees in and out, in and out. Good. All right. So the next movement, this is called Tai Chi, or energy pulling. And the best example of it would be kind of like you were in tug of rope with somebody. So I'm going to show you from the side first. Actually, this side would be better. So right foot forward, left foot back. Right knee on top of right heel, left foot grounded to the ground. So actually, let's go ahead and come into Warrior One. Just reach your palms up, settle here. So Warrior One, from the feet, the pelvis, is the same exact position as the Tai Chi energy pulling. All I want you to do is bring your arms down. Right palm is slightly in front of the left, elbows relaxed. Okay. Now from here, what you're going to do is kind of reach just gently forward, just slightly past your toes. Do not bring the rib cage down. You reach gently forward. You imagine you're grabbing a cord very gently with your fingers, and then you pull the cord down, turn to the left. Left knee is bent. Now most of my weight is into my left foot. That pulling action goes to the side, and then I begin to turn my ribs, pelvis back towards the front, and I push back into my front foot. Grab, pull, back to the front. So we're using pretty much everything that we've learned here. I want you to imagine you're pulling something towards you. It would be good to even engage with an inanimate object, like a tree is often used in this exercise. And you lock eyes with it, and you imagine you're pulling it towards you, but you're using your legs to do it. Okay? Keep that same idea. When I pull in, I'm pushing my right foot into the ground, bringing my weight to my left foot. My pelvis turns to the left, my ribs turn to the left. And then as I make my way back to the right foot, my pelvis and ribs turn back forward. You're never bringing your rib cage forward. You're never leaning to grab. Your feet stay flat to the earth at all times. If you want to bring your breath into this, you can. The inhale is to pull in. The exhale is to fall back. That's a lot to think about because there's a lot going on with pelvis moving, pushing into the feet. So don't worry about your breath unless you feel you've got everything pretty much in line. Do 3 more. And relax, shake out the legs. So that can be a lot of intensity. If you were to take a Tai Chi class for an hour, you'd feel a lot of thigh movement or a lot of strength being developed in your legs in particular. So one more side. Left foot forward, right foot back. Remember, it's just like coming into Warrior One in yoga. Left knee on top of left heel, right palm back or right foot back. I wouldn't go as far as you possibly can. You could do this type of Tai Chi, but it gets very intense the further apart your legs are. Bring your palms in front. Before we move, let's get a good grounding. So first, have equal weight in both feet. Elbows are comfortably just chilled. You're not holding in, you're not reaching forward. It's that very relaxed sensation. And we can try to get that or try to understand what that feels like. So keep your torso where it is, turn towards the front mostly, pelvis trying to turn towards the front. And I just want you to reach your hands forward. Notice you can sense all of your shoulders and your arms. You feel this disconnect between your arms and the rest of your body. If you bent your elbows and relax your shoulders just a bit, you'll get to this point that it feels like they're just there. If you brought your palms all the way towards you, you'll feel this flexing in the bicep, this flexing in the arm, all this, and you feel almost like you're clenching away. Bring the palms forward. Find that relaxed, this is my stance. Tilt the pelvis slightly in, and then begin your movement. So you put all the way to the left foot, my right foot stays down, grab, pull to the right, all the way into the right foot, swing back forward, grab, pull. Try it on. Do not worry about your breath right now. Just worry about, or no, don't worry, but move towards getting a nice fluid movement. And notice, does one foot seem to stay locked into the ground? That's good. But oftentimes that one foot that does seem to be locked into the ground is doing most of the work for you. So for instance, I'm left leg dominant. So in this movement, when I push back into my right, it's very easy. However, when I'm moving back towards the front, I should be pushing from my right foot into my left. So just like we're moving the hips to the left to the right, picking up gravity and putting it to the opposite foot, that's happening here as well. Remember, you're never reaching forward. The only thing that's happening here is the pelvis is turning, the rib cage are turning, and the feet are kind of directing it. If this side is a bit harder or a bit easier, no bother, just let it happen. Personally, this side is much more difficult for me to do. If you haven't locked eyes onto something, when you come forward, lock eyes on it. Imagine that you're pulling it towards you. If it's a tree or if it's a wall, imagine that you're ripping it from the floorboards or its roots towards you, and you're throwing it to the side. If your back is giving you any issue, engage your core, tilt that pelvis in so your abs should be flexing a bit. Just do 3 more if you can. And then slowly come out. Bring up each knee, just one at a time to kind of let that all relax out. So you might be feeling a lot in your thighs. You might feel a lot in your calves and in your feet. It's very normal. Good. And so to gain a bit of stretch and a bit of openness while in a standing position, we're going to come into 5-pointed star. So heels in, toes out. You're going to let your legs come a bit wider. Pull up your kneecaps, so engage your thighs. Hips come slightly forward. Okay, core is tucked in a little bit. Reach the arms up and wide. Take a really full, expansive breath here. And And then slowly relax and come back down to a cross-legged seated position onto a mat or a block or cushion. And just bring both hands to the knees, but this time your palm face up. Keep a comfortably tall spine. Imagine that you're kind of leaning on a wall, but I want that sensation to come from inside. So if you had to draw a line between the front side of the body and the back side of the body, and if that line bisected right through the spine, splitting it in half, that's the line that you want to feel very straight or very flat on. So it's an internal out flattening sensation. We'll take a few more breaths here and just notice what the body's feeling from the hips especially. There's a lot of hip movement in that, a lot of leg strength. Good, and we'll go ahead and end our practice in a sigh and a bow. So just bring your hands to prayer. Big inhale through the nose for the sigh. Sigh it out. Inhale the thumbs up to your third eye, the chest rise up. And exhale, bow. Namaste. Great. Thank you very much for coming to the Gentle Flow class. So today, primarily, we did mostly Qigong and a bit of Tai Chi. If you don't know, Qigong is a precursor to Tai Chi, and it came out of a philosophy from Lao Tzu around the time that yoga philosophy was actually being written about as well from Patanjali. So they're different areas of the world. However, they are very related philosophies, which is why I incorporate them. The concept of Qigong really is about being like water. If you drop a stone in water, the water envelops it. However, if water can become still and controlled, it can carve its way through mountains in the form of glaciers and rivers. So the idea is that you can be very fluid, very relaxed, but if you need to be still and strong, that'll come when it needs to come. Okay, so all these classes are donation based. If you'd like to donate, that's great. If you can't, that's okay as well. You can always comment or share it with somebody who you think might like it. We did just get a reopening plan for Ireland, and hopefully we're going to be opening up our studio sometime towards the end of summer, or we'll see. But anyways, thank you very much for coming. And I hope you move fluidly and fully for the rest of the day. Hopefully I figure out how to turn this off.